I've been playing guitar for about 8 years. I started when I was 13, and now I'm 21, so yeah, 8 years. My buddy, actually, who had just moved to Texas, and I had just met him, and he just started playing like all these Paramore songs, or even like Sweet Child of Mine. And I was like, wow, I really wish I could do that. And so he just taught me like a couple of different things. He was like, oh, this is a power chord, and this is where the A is. And from there, I just watched YouTube videos and just listen to John Mayer, listen to Jimi Hendrix, and just kind of tried to figure it out. And that's kind of how I got here.
As if time don't pass, I'm just waiting around for you to come back any day.
This is my first time recording in a studio. I've done some work on the side, just like demo works in my room and whatever. But this is my first time doing like a full-fledged production with guys on my team. We started recording this in June of this year. And because Ben is in the fray, I had to share him with the Fray's touring schedule, so that's been a bit of a challenge. But other than that, just kind of getting time in the studio anytime we can, I suppose.
Is it your new haircut or that smile you've got on that pushed me further toward the grave? I expect to see someone as broke as me.
So the whole process of the record started, Ben and I met about 1.5 years ago during a songwriting competition. And then his goal was to get into the studio at some point in the future. And it took us about 1 year to get that project going. But over time, it just kind of dove into it, I suppose. And then we had a bunch of songs ready to record for this record that were pretty good songs, but not necessarily the best kind of songs. And there was a week period over the summer where I wrote pretty much like 5 songs in like 3 days, and they ended up being like the 5 songs that went on this record. So it came along pretty weird. It wasn't necessarily, the songs we're recording now were not supposed to be on the record. But the whole idea of the record in general is it's kind of following down this alt country path where like this Chris Stapleton and Jason Isbell kind of vibe. It's just super like reminiscent of traditional country, kind of staying away from this really super pop-esque thing that's happening in Nashville right now, and kind of just bring it back to very roots country blues-esque characters.
I'm further than you think.
I think the history of music is what inspires me. Just going through a timeline of musicians, starting in the 60s where you have like the Beatles and the Grateful Dead and Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton, and then like feeding through the rest of time and then thinking that maybe I could be part of that timeline in some way. Especially in the sense of blues guitar, where it was Jimi Hendrix and then Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan and then John Mayer, and then there's always going to be another piece to that family legacy of blues musicians, and hopefully someday I can strive to be a part of that family. And that's what really inspires me, aside from the music itself. John Mayer is probably my number one. Just because of the way he's combined popular music, today's popular music at least, into a blues context. But aside from that, like Chris Stapleton, what he is kind of revolutionizing country, like he's kind of revolutionizing Nashville in a greater sense. So that's really inspiring to me, and it's just kind of the boat I want to get on, I suppose.
Meets the soul of Memphis. The CMA New Artist of the Year shares a drink with his superstar buddy from the home of the blues. Get your feet, Nashville, for Chris Stapleton, and it's Justin Timberlake. Used to spend my nights out in the barroom. Honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time.
So this record's coming out in two phases. There's a first EP, it's called As, and the second EP is called Is. And the first one will come out in January, and the second one will hopefully come out in May, prior to my move to Nashville. So Ben's got a lot of really good connections in Nashville that he wants me to get hooked up with. And then I will be graduating in May, so just taking this record to a new city and hoping people like it, I suppose.
They had to learn just for themselves what I was holding on. A little house on the hillside gave me the good life.
There's a song called Because You Left that is a really heavy song, just for me in general, and I feel like the song is so general in the sense of leaving, and I feel like once you hear the song you'll understand that it's open enough to be interpreted in all kind of contexts, that everybody has somebody in their past that's left in one way or another. So I feel like that song's going to really connect with people, and I feel like that's probably my favorite on the record. But for starters, really, I'm just excited to get some music out there, because for years it's been, oh, where can I listen to your music and whatever. And it's like, I have a demo here or there, but it's never really been anything that I was proud to give to people. So just to have some music for people to listen to is going to be a big thing for me.
I'm digging me a foxhole 6 feet deep, and the only thing that's coming down is reverie. I'm digging me a foxhole 6 feet deep, it'll be my home, and where I stay, it'll be my home, it'll be my grave. Oh, pull me in, I need cover. Oh, hold me until it's over.
There's a big I think there's a big worry for musicians to have a commercial success with their music, and that's not really what I'm hoping will happen. I'm just kind of hoping that people like it, because I feel like that in and of itself will be the commercial success. If people like the music, then it'll do well on its own. So I'm kind of just hoping that it gets on people's iPods, if that's even a thing. I don't know if people use iPods anymore, but yeah. Growing up for me, since I was a military brat, I didn't really have any kind of home. I was born in Texas, moved to Germany, moved to Austria, moved to Italy, moved all over Europe, and then moved back to the States. So there was never really any kind of foundational place to call home. But growing up, there was always the records, and I could always go back to my favorite Tim McGraw record as a kid, or find my Coheed and Cambria records through my teenage years. There's always like a different home to go to within music. So I guess that's kind of what keeps me into it, and that's what kind of is keeping music the forefront of my life, is that there's not really a home to go back to, but when I pick up a guitar, there's always those songs that kind of take me back to that home, whatever that home is, I suppose.